Repeat guest, Mr. Mitch Stephen, the author of the book series, My Life in a Thousand Houses. We're going to talk about his new book today on private lending, some pivots he's done during COVID the last couple of years and in general in business. And Mitch is really just a wealth of knowledge that brings you information in an entertaining and fun way. So always good to touch base with Mitch. Still remember his presentation from our mastermind in Austin that he came to. That really brought everybody a lot of value and entertainment and kind of changed their perspective on thinking of getting into deals and how to monetize different leads and stuff like that. And he's gracious enough to be joining us from the car here. We got everything situated. So Mitch, man, always good to see you. Glad to see you're doing well and not surprised to see you have a lot of new opportunities and books and everything on the horizon.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's always great to be with you guys and talk to your audience. I especially preach, adapt, and overcome. So that's what we're doing today. Lost the cursor on my laptop, trying to get to the place to get it fixed for this interview, and it's not going to work. So we're figuring it out, and I'm doing it from the back seat of a F-250 pickup truck. But hey, you get it done, right? That's what you do.
And isn't that something that's almost more important than the step-by-step mechanical parts of real estate investing or, financial freedom that you can speak to and everything like that, isn't it?
I'm a ready, fire, aim guy. Always have been. If I deliver you the one little nugget today that helps you make $1 million, do you give a crap whether I delivered it out of a barn or a truck or at a $1 million studio with a nice background? Who gives a damn, right? This is about information. This is about knowledge. So that's how I look at everything. I don't care how pretty it is. I mean, most of my investments are not pretty. Mobile homes and land. It's the ugliest. The neighborhoods I deal in look like third world nations with chickens and goats running around. And, but that's where I learned to make a lot of money. That's where I'm needed. That's where I'm needed the most. And, because I sell or finance houses, or in the case down there in the barrios that I deal in, I deal in casas dueño a dueño, which is owner to owner. So, I don't really care that something's pretty. What I care about is that it's profitable and consistent and predictable to whatever degree things can be predictable. Nothing is always predictable. If it was really predictable, then everybody would be in the business. You know what I mean? It'd be too easy.
Substance over glamour, for sure. And if it was just all about information, there's a good quote that said everybody would have six-pack abs and be a billionaire. But there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, mainly mindset, which we're going to talk about a lot today.
Well, the information, the action, and then the mindset. Because even some of the most successful people I know figure out how to blow it because they don't have any discipline when it comes to other aspects of their life. You know what I mean? So it's a never ending challenge, man. You get to one level, there's another threat. You get to another level, there's another need. There's always another step to go or to work on.
100%. Well, Mitch, man, for those who didn't listen to our original interview or seen you on other podcasts, you've been on a ton and have kind of heard your story. We did an interview about 1.5 2 years ago. I want to hear how you got into real estate, and what I was also going to mention that he's pretty much bought a house every 4 days for the last 2 decades. So when Tom Brady got into the NFL, or any person that's been doing a profession for 20 years, I was 11 years old in middle school range. Mitch has been buying a house every 4 days nonstop since then. For
about 2.5 decades. It's over 2,000 houses in my hometown. I wasn't really counting or keeping track, but one day someone threatened me with a lawsuit, and no one could make it down to the storage unit to get the piece of paper that I knew that I had. That I wasn't worried, but I just needed to get my hands on that piece of paper. And I went into the storage and I thought, oh my gosh, I'll never find it. Look at the hordes of files. But luckily they were all, labeled by month and in year. And I went right to it and I found it. But then I said, someone go down there and count the files. How many files is that? They told me the number of files, and I knew that I'd been in business since March of 1996. And I just did the math, and I have bought a house every 4 to 5 days for almost 2.5 decades.
Amazing, man. Amazing. Well, let's talk about that from the beginning, like how you got into real estate. I know we talk a lot about financial freedom, which you've been at that place for a while. And I think it's interesting. And I say this with respect, that just being in your age demographic, I feel like you were a trendsetter as far as looking for financial freedom and looking to get into creative real estate deals. When back in your day, the information wasn't as readily available as it is today, where every single thing is on YouTube.
There's a lot of advantages and disadvantages of when I grew up, and the same thing, a lot of advantages for the people coming up now, that I didn't have. One is y'all have instant access to information. You can become an expert on just about anything, relatively free, and then hire the mentor of all mentors right at the end when you know that that's the business for you and that's what your focus is going to be. You hire that exact right guy. But I'm 60. I started in March of 1996, like I said, full time, and I could get in the classifieds at 8 a.m. and by noon have a perfectly good deal. Didn't matter what day it was, 7 days a week you could do this. You could get in the classifieds, go out, talk to some people, find a perfectly good deal. And if you screwed up, you'd find 2 deals and you didn't know how you're going to pay for them. And, there was no competition, really. There wasn't a guru on every corner, and there wasn't information everywhere. And you could go out there and, the fields were just full of ripe fruit. You know what I mean? They were just ready to go. I could have learned a lot from other people and a lot of shortcuts. So it took me a long time to get where I'm at, but I could have learned it a lot faster if I'd have had access to information like this. For one, I started going to some seminars because they had a few people: Dave Delgado, Carlton Sheets, Jimmy Napier, Jack Miller. Probably these names you haven't even heard of, right? But they were the legends back then. Even Ron LeGrand and Lou Brown were starting to emerge, a little later than that. And someone said financial freedom happens when your wants and your needs are exceeded by your passive income. And I was having all these revelations. One was, I thought financial freedom was words that rich people used. And if I was going to be financially free, all I needed was $3,500 a month. And that's not rich in America. $3,500 a month is not rich. So I could achieve financial freedom, at $3,500 a month. So all of a sudden I quit making $1 million goals and just tried to make a $3,500 a month goal, which all of a sudden became easy. And I did it in like 6 months. I say it became easy. It scared me to death and I wasn't sure I could do it. But, I did it in 6 months and I got a handle on it because I wasn't trying to make $1 million or a home run. I was just trying to get $3,500 measly dollars to come to my mailbox. And then I had another revelation. Why is that important? Well, because if getting rich is in the cards for Mitch Stephen, it'll probably happen or would have the most likely chance to happen after I got financially free and didn't have to have a job. And that meant, $3,500 a month was coming in. Now, if I'm going to get rich, I'm going to get rich after that point. Why? Because it frees up 2,600 hours a year that I was given to someone else. And now I can put that all into me, my life, and what I'm supposed to be, what I need to learn, what I need to work on. All of this can come out of that 2,600 hours a year. And if I want to focus on getting wealthy, that's 2,600 hours I got to do that a year. So please listen to me closely if you're out there and you're struggling trying to find your place in the world. I think the first step is, at least it was for me, is to find some way to regenerate the income that I'm making at my job so I can tell my boss I no longer need his services, so I can free up that 2,600 hours, because that's a massive amount of time. Yeah. And then, after that, and it doesn't matter if you find your financial freedom in what we're talking about, which is real estate or real estate investing, or if you go over and become a Amazon reseller or something. I don't care where you find your financial freedom. I mean, my podcast is about let's just help you find your place so that you can get on with being who you're supposed to be. And that's why I do these things anymore. It's not for the money, I can tell you that, because I mean, if you gave me $1 million today, it wouldn't change what I drive, what I wear, where I live. It won't change anything. So what I need now at 60 is I need to be relevant, and I need to make a difference more than I need money right now. You know what I mean? I need to be affecting people's lives in a positive way and get that in emotional reward. That's what I'm in it for now, is the emotional reward of helping someone cross over that threshold and get to where they want to go.
Mm-hmm. By doing that, or I think helping people is through a lot of these podcasts, books, of course, that you have that people can read and check out, apply to their own businesses, their own lives. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, the pain points and struggles that you had in building this business, and get into a little bit of exactly how you were getting into these deals and monetizing these deals?
Well, I mean, there was so many limiting beliefs that it's hard to even know where to start. I mean, I could never, the first limiting belief is the one that everyone has. It takes money to do this. I don't have any money. Okay, let me be real clear. Bullshit. If everyone needed money to be successful in this business, no one I know, and neither would I be successful in this business. We all started out broke. There are strategies where you can work with OPM or none of your own money and come out a winner. I mean, in a nutshell, when you don't have money, you're a professional deal finder, contract writer upper. You exchange expertise and knowledge and time for money. You don't have money, but you know how to find a deal and you know how to contract it up. And once you have a deal and you contract it up for 50 cents on the dollar, you really don't need to worry where the money's coming from. You just got to worry about how many people can you tell in a short amount of time so someone will step in and give you what you need. That's all you got to worry about. And that's easy to solve too. So you're making 50% or 40% of these deals that you're tying up because you're giving, a big chunk of it to the guy who brings the money. But that's okay. You make 50% until you can make 100%. What you don't want to do is sit around at a job for $15 an hour and make nothing. That's what you don't want to do. Mm-hmm. So, and then the next limiting belief is, who's going to loan me money? Well, I was thinking it's all about me. It's not about me. It's about the damn deal. If I'm asking $20,000 on a $100,000 house, who cares if I'm a mass murderer and in prison? Who cares? Who cares? I mean, they're either going to get paid the $20,000 or they're going to get my $100,000 house. It really doesn't matter about my credit or anything. How I dress doesn't matter about if I know how to speak English that good or not. Damn sure doesn't matter what color I am. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. That's a limiting belief. Another one was, no one can do this job except for me because no one's going to care about it like me. That's limiting belief too. You can only do so much in a day, and until you learn how to clone yourself or otherwise find help, you're never really going to be able to ramp up and be free. Because when you go on vacation, if the business is you, and heaven forbid you got your family involved, you and your family are going to go on vacation, and the whole business is going to shut down because it's you, your wife, and your daughter that's running the business. Y'all can never go on vacation together. And if you do, you completely stop everything. And so that's not right. So learning how to hire, the first thing any solo investor ought to do as soon as they can is at least get an overseas VA for $3 or $4 an hour, at least, and learn that people can do things that you can do and probably do them better than you. They can certainly do them better than you, given the fact that they only have the one task to do and you've got every task in the company to do. The reason why you're no good at sales, even though you're the best salesman in the world, is you have to do sales plus 17 other things. And so you can't concentrate on sales. You get a salesman, guess what? He's concentrating on sales. He may not be as good as you, but he's going to put up better numbers than you because he's focused. So, and then another limiting belief, finding the right partners. I got scared about partners early on because I got a bad one. And, I let that stop me for a long time. You just need to know the right kind of partner to get and know how to describe what each of you are responsible for. I have 8 businesses right now. And so here's a small example. You got to focus on your core business and you got to stay in your lane all the time. But you can still have extra businesses, but this is how you do it, in my humble opinion. I'm not the smartest guy in any room, but this is just my life experience talking. You could take it or leave it. But if your business is taking trees and making them into boards, lumber, then you're going to end up with a pile of sawdust. whether you like it or not, that's the residual of cutting trees into boards. Now you can pay to have that sawdust hauled off, or you can go into hello, are you there?
Yeah, gotcha.
Or you can go into business, with someone who knows how to make sawdust into boards, or knows how to make them into pencils, or knows how to saturate it with poison and put it in bags and sell it on the open market for poison that you spread around your house. But this is the deal. You go get someone that's an expert in that field. You rob them, you poach them, you make them an offer too good to resist, or you tell them they can own half of the company and whatever they build it into, but you're not showing up. You're just providing the sawdust. It's their job to show up at the office, hire the people, and market the product. I'm staying in my lane. I buy and sell little Walmart houses for Walmart people. That's what I do for 27 years. Every time I get out of that lane, I get hit by a truck. I learned to stay in my lane. It's not that you can't have other businesses, but you've got to give a portion of that other business up to the man that can teach you about that business. Make him your partner.
Love it.
So I could go on and on and on. I could go on and on.
Man. I mean, I was going to say for us, like the limiting beliefs was the one that you said before this last one, for our audience, at least, as far as believing like I can outsource something or delegate to a VA or a hire. I mean, I guess that's mixed with the one that you just said of finding a hire. And isn't it interesting, like kind of whatever you believe to a conviction ends up happening? If you think it's easy to find hires, if you think it's find partners, it will be like self-fulfilling prophecy.
It is uncanny that exactly how you think and what you're saying to yourself is exactly how it's going to be. It is phenomenally accurate. And unfortunately, it's accurate because a lot of people don't learn to correct that. So when I was trying to learn how to delegate after 15 years, I finally said I was going to quit. I had burned the candle at both ends and wore every hat for so long, I could no longer take it. I had plenty of money. I had bought lots of storage facilities, which was my forever cash strategy. You know, I could live off my storages for the rest of my life. I have 1,300 doors that owe me $100 a month, and I don't have any debt. Okay, so $130,000 a month. Who can live off of that? Now I do have some insurance and some property taxes to pay and stuff, so I don't clear it all. But you know, let's just call it $100 grand then. You know, who could live off $100 grand a month? Well, that'd be just about everybody in the audience. Well, everyone can, whether they want to or not. That's another thing. So I was gonna put all my real estate efforts in the $26 million worth of private lenders I have, put it all in a box and put it on a shelf, and it would evaporate shortly after I quit because those people would have to go other places. All my momentum, all my structure, all my infrastructure would just evaporate. Coming back would be almost impossible at my age. But I couldn't go anymore. But I couldn't make myself do it because it was $1.5 million a year in revenue. And I thought, I'm just going to put that in a box and throw it away. I'm going to cease to collect it. I said, maybe if I pay half of that 1.5, and I might be being conservative on that number, but I'm just picking a number, you know, half, maybe if I pay $700,000 a year, I could get the right people and I could still make, you know, $800,000 myself and not throw it all away. You know what I mean? And so I said, that's what I'm going to do. And one more time before I quit, I'm going to try one more time to automate my business or to get it to run without Mitch Stephen. I had tried 4 times before, but it didn't work. And I figured out why, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So I decided to go to a mastermind. Cost me $30,000 for the year. If it cost me a penny, including airfare and rooms and all that stuff, it's $30,000 a year. I knew that there was a bunch of men there that had already accomplished what I wanted to do. And maybe a few women even. There was mostly men, but a few. And so I was going to go to that mastermind, and I was going to let them, as long as I trusted them, after I met them personally, I was going to let them unwind me and then rewind me a different way. And I was going to drink the Kool-Aid. I was going to listen. I wasn't going to talk. I was going to become, how do I fix my business? How do I become like y'all? How do I be the owner of a business with a CEO under me? You know, or how does that work? So they did. We figured it out. I did not end up giving away $750,000 of my income. I actually make more money now than I ever did, despite the incomes that I promised to pay. And it's all because everybody in their chair is better than Mitch divided into 17 pieces. Every single one of them are better at their job. And the numbers went up and life got easy. I have not seen the last 400 houses I bought. I have not seen the last 400 people that bought my houses. My job is what a 60-year-old ought to be doing. Having lunches, dinners, going to basketball games with rich people, figuring out if they want to loan you money. That's a really hard job.
Sounds like a great day-to-day to me. Just network building and watch basketball games. Sounds like my ideal day-to-day.
Socializing. So let me tell you why it didn't work the first 4 times. The reason it didn't work the first 4 times is because I never gave myself permission not to buy 100 houses a year. And I was trying to fix my business on what was left over of Mitch Stephen after buying 100 houses. And I was everything, the salesman, the acquisition guy, everything. There was none of me left to even attempt to even try. It's so laughable now when I look back at it. It's stupid. It was idiotic. When I was getting ready to quit, right before I threw the whole business in the trash can, I decided to go to this mastermind, and I didn't care if I ever bought another house again, ever. I only bought 30 houses the year that I fixed my business. And that was the key. And those 30 houses walked in and laid down on my desk and begged me to sign papers. I didn't even look for those 30 deals. I was busy trying to fix a business, writing the standard procedures for this chair and the standard operating procedures for this chair, and then hiring people and then firing them because they're not working out, and then learning about testing, how to test people and get the right people. I have come to learn that Mitch Stephen is the worst hiring person in the world. If I say to hire somebody, run from that guy, run from him. Because the test will tell you to hire someone, and I'll say there's no way this person's going to make it. And those are the people that have still been with me 5 and 6 years later and doing a great job. What the test said. When we hired my daughter an assistant, we tested my daughter to find out her deficiencies. We tested the incumbent to make sure that her assistant was going to be high in the areas that she was deficient. So we weren't just hiring the same person, to make the same mistakes as each other. So I don't know. Am I kind of rambling now? I mean, I think
this is all good stuff. This is applicable for every single, no matter what the business is, what somebody's going through.
Okay, let's talk about the delegation part. The easiest thing is to delegate. I hate it when I hear people or my students say, well, I'm going to be doing my books this weekend. You don't do books. That's the easiest thing in the world to delegate.
That hurts my head just even thinking about it.
Yeah. Collections. You don't do collections. You can hire collections. That's easy. Sales is easy. In my business, it's really not even about sales. It's about open the door and let them in business, because either they want the house or they don't. The numbers are already set. We know what we're going to sell it for. If there's any negotiations, it has to be with someone higher up anyways. So, anybody can open a door and show the house and get some information and collect some papers from somebody. That's another one that's easy. Get sales off your desk. The hardest one is acquisitions, probably. Acquisitions and raising the funds. And that's where you ought to stay as the owner until you can eventually work yourself out of those 2 things. Now, I don't want to work myself out of the private money thing, because if I don't do that, I don't have anything to do. And I'm a social person. I'm an active person. I'm in shape. I have a high energy. I need something to do. And let me give you one more tidbit. A reasonably decent looking person with way more money than they need, with nothing but idle time, can find very aggressive demons. It doesn't matter who you are. You have nothing to do, an abundance of money or a bottomless pit as far as you're concerned of money. Be careful, my friend, because you're in a very dangerous place, no matter who you are. And I don't have, I never been into drugs but it doesn't matter. It could be food. You can eat yourself into a bad place, enjoying all that prime rib. And, you just find demons, man. If you're not busy, you got to stay busy. So that's why I stay busy. I stay busy because if you're not busy doing one thing, you're busy doing another thing. And I I really want to make a difference in the world. And I won't even take a student, on the higher levels without interviewing them for 45 minutes to see if I can make a difference. If I can't make a difference, I'm not taking their money, because that's not where I'm at in my life. I'm trying to get on a team that can go to the Super Bowl. If I can sign on as one of your coaches and take you to the Super Bowl, I want to win a Super Bowl. I don't care what game it is.
Mm-hmm.
I want to win. I want to win that. And it'd be really nice to say, to be able to say to yourself, I was part of that team that took that guy to financial independence. I was part of that team, and it worked good, and changed a lot of lives. Because when you change one man's ability to financially be independent, you are changing a lot of people. You're changing his wife's world. You're changing his kids' worlds. You may even be changing or protecting his parents' worlds as they get older. You are making a lot of effect, more than just the one person. And then if you teach that person to go out and buy houses and get renters, like if you're doing seller financing like I teach, we're teaching renters how to become owners. Guess what the one single biggest component of the average American's wealth is? It's the equity in their house. When you change a lifetime renter into an owner because you're offering seller financing, I am now affecting, or the person I trained to do that or helped do that when I was on their team, coaching them, we are changing those lives too. And that is a huge, huge benefit downstream that wouldn't get measured by the normal person. I measure that stuff, as much as you can. How many lives have I changed? 2,500 times I have taken a person who would never be able to own a house, got them out of the rent cycle, and made them a homeowner. 2,500 times. How many lives has that affected? That's a lot of lives.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to know where my head is, that's where my head is. That's what I'm looking for today.
Yeah, I mean, that's great stuff to reflect on. Not everybody's at that level. Not everybody's financially free, including myself at the moment. But that's a great perspective or mental framework to think about relatively often, if not every day, every week, whenever you have a rhythm to reflect on it. Just the ripple effects that your day-to-day work does. It's going to give you motivation, energy. The bad days or the days that aren't as good or the obstacles that you have to go through, you kind of automatically go through them a lot deeper. And I think, like, from a business sense, a spiritual sense, which I think is definitely one and the same or very intertwined, when you get to a certain level, or when you start thinking about all the moves that you're making, how they affect other people, and it's kind of cliche to think bigger than yourself, but that's when a lot of frictionless, smooth development and growth happens for me and a lot of people that I study. Is kind of where Mitch is at now. The more that you're able to bring that type of mindset, no matter where you're at, if you haven't even done a deal before, to if you're an experienced wholesaler, whoever's listening to this, when you can have that as your daily mindset, you flow through life a lot easier and a lot more enjoyably.
Yeah, it really helps your business, and it really helps it prosper if your business has a higher reason than just profit. Profit has to be part of it. No business can survive without profit. So I'm not saying, acting like I'm not in it for the money, or I wasn't in it for the money when I started. I was, but the business had to have a higher reason. It had to have win, 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 win check marks in all the columns, And if it, my business has to be a win for the people that buy my houses. It has to be a win for the person that loans me the money to buy those houses. And it has to be a win for my family. So those are the three wins. And if any one of those, if a deal comes down the pike and it can't check a win for all three of those participants, then we don't do the deal at all, ever. It's just like when people, I'm $25,000 on one-on-one coaching. Like, you just have my phone number. We talk. There's no time limits or anything. I don't take very many of them a year because one, I have to be available for the people that I do have, and two, I have 8 businesses, a ranch, and a family, and I need to leave time for all these things. And so I'll do an interview for about 45 minutes to figure out if the person that's contemplating paying me 25 grand, if I can see where he's going to get it back. You know what I mean? I also don't, at $25,000, I don't help people figure out if the real estate business is for them. I pick people that already have a game. I'm just trying to up your game. I don't take newbies at $25,000. You know what I mean? Because you want to do that. We got some other things you can do. There's lesser $3,500 a year, we can figure out if the business is for you without having to risk all that. You know what I mean? Make the business pay for the one-on-one coaching if you still want it. But we don't need to spend that much money just to figure out if the business is for you. So that I reserve that for people that already have a game, and if I think I can up that game enough that they can see a decent return on their money, get their money back and see a return on their money. And the answer is yes, I'll tell them my hat's in the ring. I think I can help. I wouldn't even say it if I'm not damn sure I can help. And and then now it's just up to you. Go talk to your wife or your spouse or whatever. And if you guys are ready, I'm ready. Or whenever you're ready, I'm ready. But that's the other thing. There's no pressure with me. I'm not talking anybody into anything. That's another thing. When you start trying to fit round pegs into square holes, or you know what I mean? It doesn't work. Things get complicated when you start trying to fit square pegs into round holes. Things just don't work. And I see people try to do that all the time because they need the money, and it ends up causing more problems than the money was worth.
Tell me about The Art of Private Lending, the new book that we have out, and one of the main reasons we're connecting today, who that's for, what it's all about. There we go.
Okay, so we got a book. My partner and I wrote it. Now, I'm going to be completely transparent. I'm teaching people how to make 14, 15, 16, 17, 18%. In the state of Texas, over 18% is users. So up to 18% in the state of Texas. But you can apply these same principles to any state. Just make sure you know what your state regulations are as far as how much money you can charge, but how much interest you can charge. But I'm teaching people how I've had a private loan, hard money loan business for a long time. I've had a hard money loan business since 2005. Why? Because I raised so much private money, I couldn't spend it all on deals that met my criteria. Just because you have a lot of money available to you doesn't mean you go out and start making crappy deals. You got to keep the same guidelines that you used when you were broke, because those guidelines kept you out of trouble. So I had all this money on the sidelines, and in order to keep it out, I said, I guess I'll loan it out to my competitors in 6-month increments and just tie it up a short period of time until I need it. But keep the money active, or else these private lenders are going to go someplace else with their money, and I won't have them. So that's what I did, was I loaned out my private lenders money when I couldn't find enough deals to keep their money busy. I just went to plan B. So I'm teaching people how to do it themselves and make 15, 16, 17, 18%. But I really wrote the book to help raise private money for my own company, because about midway through the book, I say, now you can do all this stuff and you can make 15, 16, 17, 18% if you want to, but you're going to have to roll up your sleeves and go to work. Okay. If you just want to make 8 or 9 or 10% passively and still keep playing golf every day because you're retired, call me. I'll use all these principles like I have for years, and to keep us out of trouble. And you can keep playing golf and I'll do all the work. Just loan me the money. So, I wrote the book twofold. If you're an aggressive guy and you want to go out and start a business and do a hard money loan business yourself, that's how you do it. And if you're a retired guy and say, this is really great, I see why it works, but I don't want to work, I'm done working, then call me and I'll put your money to work for you. You won't make 15%, but you won't make 1% like the banks are trying to pay you either.
Very cool. And I have a ton of stuff in the show notes from Mitch's team for everything on the book, more about Mitch, everything like that. In addition to the new book, The Art of Private Lending, and both the twofold there, if somebody wants to do it themselves or outsource, invest with somebody like you, I want to hear about taxfreefuture.com, which is in that same ballpark as well, as far as long-term investing.
That's another thing. I was teaching so many people how to roll over their retirement, their tax-deferred or tax-free retirement funds over into a self-directed tax-free or tax-deferred retirement fund, so that they could loan the money to me, because a lot of people's wealth was tied up in the retirement fund, and the way that it was set up, they weren't able to access it. And quite frankly, a lot of those funds, most of those funds, 95% of those funds are tied up in Wall Street, and people were just scared to death of the gamble of Wall Street. especially like in these times right now. And
especially in these times right now.
yeah, and they don't want to just take it out and have it sit in the bank CD at less than 1% because it's not even keeping up with inflation, and we don't even want to talk about inflation right now. And so here I have this happy medium. I'm paying 8, 9, 10%, on average, and given a real piece of security. And so I opened up taxfreefuture.com because what I learned was through my own experience, because I have 4 retirement plans between my wife and I and my kids and all that. There's a door that is $0 to get in, but they charge you an annual fee, and the annual fee keeps going up, and it's every transaction. It's every time you call for a payoff. It's even at the end of the year, a fee based on whatever your account is worth. And the more you're worth, the more the fee is. And so I said, golly, I have 4 accounts. I paid $12,000 in fees. This is killing me to have a tax deferred saving account. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful account. And then all of a sudden, this fly lands in the ointment called these fees, So I was talking to someone and he says, well, there's a way that you don't pay those fees, but you have to pay $1,500 up front to open the account. I said, I'll pay $1,500 up front to open all 4 of them one time. He says, yeah, because the fee is only $200 a year, no matter what. It's about $200 a year, every year for the rest of your life. And I thought, well, I'd rather pay up front. And so we started talking about that, and nobody knew. We figured out, I teamed up with an attorney named Tim Berry, how we could structure this and bring it to the world. So for $1,500 a month, $1,500 one-time setup fee plus your LLC, whatever your LLC costs in your state, you get your account, and then the fee at the end of every year is right around $200. That's all. It doesn't grow, it doesn't multiply, it doesn't rack up or get bigger. It's just the same all the time. And if you're really going to be an active investor, or you're really going to have a big account, or you have a big account, it just pays to look at it that way. The other thing is if you go to taxfreefuture.com and just give your micro information, and believe me, these people are not going to be beating you up with a bunch of endless emails, but go there. It'll open up a door to like 33 little video vignettes that show you how you can take little bits of money from these retirement plans and grow them exponentially. People say, well, I could only open my account with $1,000. What the hell can you do with $1,000? Brother, have I got news for you? I opened every single one of my accounts with $250 back in the day, when there was a minimum, and that was the minimum. So I just did the minimum. My retirement accounts, anyone would be proud to own them. Anyone would be proud to own any one of my retirement accounts. I never put any of my own money into those accounts after the 250. And I grew it right out of the chute, bang, big time in the first year. The second year, it just kept getting better. But there are, you don't know what you don't know. And why don't you watch those little video vignettes and learn how you turn a little bit of money into a lot of money fast in a retirement fund. It's amazing. I paid $3,000 one time to go to a seminar. It was Dick Desich, Mid-Ohio Securities, a long time ago, like around 1999. I paid $3,000 for just my chair. It was in a very expensive Hilton, I think, or Marriott, right in San Francisco on the Fisherman's Wharf. It was a very expensive hotel, maybe like $500 a night. And then the food and the airlines and everything. It was $3,000 just for my chair. And that's where I learned these little tricks and tips that are all, by the way, legal. They even have case law, but the reason why the rich get richer and the poor don't is because the rich people pay for an education to learn how to proliferate money. Poor people don't pay, nor do they. Sometimes poor people, they have rules like, we don't talk about money at the dinner table. Try that at a rich man's house. They talk about money everywhere. They're teaching their kids. They're teaching their kids about, how to make a sale, how they negotiated today, how much money it was worth just to change one sentence in your delivery, whatever. And so please check out taxfreefuture.com for yourself. And some of those hints and tips can be used even in your regular life outside 401ks, So there you go. There's more free content that will probably astonish a lot of people.
Love it. And everything is in the show notes, guys, to check out Mitch's stuff. I'm curious on a personal kind of investing question, just because I let off talking about how you've been kind of a trendsetter in your thinking and strategies that you've done. I'm curious to hear your approach on crypto, if you have any investing in crypto.
What's crypto?
Cryptocurrency?
I know it was a joke, Carlos.
Oh, I was going to say, man, I hope he's joking with me.
Let me just tell you, it could be I'm an old timer. It could be, but like I said, when I get out of my lane, I do believe that real estate's going to be valuable no matter what the currency of the day is. So I felt like if I just stay there and make enough there, I don't have to worry or gamble if crypto's going to make it or which one to go with or whatever. You know what I mean? I probably should have bought at least a little bit of it back when it was nothing, but that's real easy to say because we all say that when, you know, we look up and it's $50,000 a coin now or whatever. But I'm gonna be fine sticking with what I got. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The day that these little Walmart houses aren't worth anything, I don't think your cryptocurrency is going to be worth anything either.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion.
That's it right there. No, that's it right there. You have the forever money with the storage, Walmart houses. You got a ton of stuff going on. To kind of end here, put a bow on this thing, Mitch, I'd love to hear your best advice for someone that is primarily wholesaling, fixing, flipping, end of the year here, 2021. What's your best advice for them next year and just moving forward in life and business?
Well, you got to find a forever strategy. And so for the most part, those two strategies that you said, fix and flip and wholesaling, that's really a job. You got to keep doing it, unless you figure out how to systematize the business so you're wholesaling and flipping houses while you're on a cruise ship.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's one way to do it. Or, and there's people that teach how to do that. Or you take the money that you make from that and you buy apartment complexes or storages or something that is easily managed by someone else, and you work your way out of a job. So you're burning your candle at both ends for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, but you take all the money that you make from that, or the majority of it, and you buy into something that will end when you say it ends. And you can walk away from it and it will still produce money as long as there's a manager there to just keep the gears greased, you know? So that's my advice. Pick businesses that you're building cash flow. If they're just big hits one at a time, and you're just spending that money on boats and cars and big houses, then you're in for a rude awakening one day when you run out of energy or the worm turns and the economy is not what it was, or whatever the piece of the puzzle. So be really careful the business that you pick, because the businesses I wanted to do, they all start out as hamster wheels. You got to get up in the morning and run on them. But I like the kind of business that if I turn that wheel enough times, I can get off and I can hire someone else to trot on that wheel, and I can sit back and watch the wheel turn from my lawn chair. You know, so it's all about cash flow. I never gave a damn about how much money was in my bank account. What I cared about was how much was being replenished every month. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And how much of it was I saving? And so, you know, at some point, if you live your life a certain way, you look up and you're a multi on and on millionaire, you know, because you can't stop it anymore. And unless you just want to keep increasing your standard of living, you know, but I found a very decent standard of living I'm very happy with. And everything over that just goes back to the businesses. And that strategy has made me very wealthy because I don't keep pushing my standard of living up to the amount that I make. You know, I live in a 3,600 square foot house that I built by myself. I started, you know, in like 1989. I still live in that house. I lived in that house for 37 years. It has no payment. I don't need a bigger house. I don't need a 10,000 square foot house. I don't need a 20,000 square foot house. You know, I drove used cars forever. Today, I bought a brand new F-250, but you know, it's kind of the circumstances. there was no trucks out there, and the used ones weren't that much different than a new one. So what the hell? But you know, I was just lived frugal, not penny pincher, but frugal. You know, so that's my comment or advice. Try to get into a business that if you're successful at it enough times in a row, you'll work yourself out of the job. And that's usually tied to a business that's a cash flow business. Like the more apartments you buy, the better off, you know, at some point, if you buy enough apartment complexes or enough duplexes or enough rent houses, you will not have to work anymore. And the business is simple enough to hire someone to manage. That's why I picked storages, because storages is way easier to manage than apartments. There's no sheetrock, there's no carpet, there's no hot water heater, there's no, you know, air conditioner to speak of, unless you're in some climate controlled units. But you know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, one door, no windows, one light bulb, one switch. You know, and when I go to do an eviction or foreclosure on a storage, there's very little resistance, because it's not some place you live and that your kids that are in a school district and grandma's down the street. You know, no one cares about storage. And also in a storage, if I'm Johnny on the spot, I can be auctioning your stuff in 32 days. So I picked storage reason for a lot. I can add storage buildings for just a nominal at a time, a 10 by 10, a 10 by 20. I can add 5. If that's all the money I got, I'll add 5 because my business is full and and there's room. I could add 5 at a time. I don't have to build $1 million complex overnight. I can build it 20 units at a time. Over time. You know, that's another reason I picked it. I could add on real easy, you know?
Yeah, storage is super, super appealing, and love the wisdom here. Make sure to check out 1000houses.com/podcast to hear Mitch Jim on this stuff and more. And I appreciate you coming on the show again, man. This has been fun. Ton of good wisdom and insight, really, no matter what business you're in, what exit strategy you're specifically doing. Always a pleasure to chat with you, man.
Well, there's one thing, no matter what strategy, you need private money. And go to 1000houses.com. You can get over there and get sick of me. I mean, I got podcasts. I did 180 10-minute YouTube segments, you know, on very random things in creative real estate, that all over everything I could think of. And I gave it 10 minutes, you know, every one of those topics. Check it out. There's a lot over there. If you're interested in anything else, it's all over there. 1000houses.com, 1000houses.com. Thank you for having me on, man. I really appreciate you, Carlos.
A pleasure and privilege, man. Appreciate you. Check out 1000houses.com for everything, Mitch, and have a great day, guys.
All right. Bye now.